My name is Sabah, and I head marketing at PayHuddle Solutions. We have people who have joined us from various time zones. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining this session. The topic for the session is how to deliver customer experience in the retail banking space post COVID-19. This pandemic has changed the way that all of us have done our business. The most important consideration in retail banking is personalization today. And how do you personalize your offerings to various customer segments? How do you target your offerings to a millennial and to a business, to an existing customer, or a high net worth individual? How do you cross sell and upsell? And how do you wow your customers using Adobe Experience Platform? What is the next best offer for a customer? These are some of the things that our speakers, Manish, who's a senior technical partner manager with Adobe, and Pandyan, who's the CEO of OnwardPath Technologies, would address. Just to give you a brief about our organizations, PayHuddle offers testing and certification solutions to the entire payment ecosystem, and OnwardPath is a systems integration and services organization that helps companies succeed in their digital transformation journey. OnwardPath was founded by professionals with extensive experience in building web applications for large enterprises. OnwardPath is a solution partner of Adobe Experience Platform. Adobe is a leader in the enterprises space, and the Adobe Experience Platform is used by thousands of businesses worldwide and has hundreds of retail banking implementations. During this session, I request all the attendees to type in your questions in the question window that is on the right of your screen. We'll take them up for discussion at the end of the session. Manish, can you take over from here?
Yes, thank you, Sabah. So, today we have all been impacted with COVID-19, not only in our personal lives, but business lives as well. Now more than ever, these two worlds have really converged, especially with, parents trying to not only work from home, but also deal with some of the personal challenges going on, that they were able to separate when they had the business life and the personal life as well. I'm going to kick off today's webinar on talking about the impact of COVID-19 since March 2020, especially with financial services and focused around retail banking. So, before we talk about just retail banking, let's look at financial services as a whole. In banking, we saw, fee income fall from lower spending and waiving of fees. We not only saw that, but we saw net interest income, what we make off of loans, remained compressed as rates remained low, and spikes in loans, as you see to the left over here, were offset by credit losses. So most of the customers have been focused on billions of dollars in government-funded payment protection programs or coronavirus business interruption loans for small businesses or bounce back loans. Many of these programs were rushed. The requirements from the government were given to the banks last minute, and when, before banks had the ability to create stable processes for accepting and funding these loan applications. Let me give you an example. Bank of America received requests from 85,000 small businesses for $22.2 billion on the first day. Now let's talk about insurance. Companies that covered, business interruption policies for small businesses were facing a threat for risk that they didn't underwrite. So let's think about this. Insurers like Allstate, even Liberty Mutual, the one that I use, refunded 15% of those auto premiums paid by its customers in April and May, and which actually totaled out to be almost over $600 million because people are
Manish, 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you make sure you are sharing your screen? I see that there is a message that they're not able to see your screen.
Okay. Are you guys not able to see my screen? Let me share it again.
Okay. I'm able to see the screen now. Let me get some in here. Okay, now they are able to see. Thank you, Manish.
All right. Okay. So, so as I was mentioning earlier, with Liberty Mutual, was my auto provider, they had to give a 15% discount, which really totaled about almost around these companies about $600 million because people are driving far less. And in this case, lastly, remember how the insurance industry makes money by investing their premiums into the market that are conservative and also tied to the interest rate environment. And finally, for investing, right? So volatility like COVID-19 really shook investors' confidence. It caused widespread out of markets to crash and can have a negative real impact on these investor advisor and customer relationships that are going on from the investment perspective. But it's not hard to forget the human element and the human impact of this all, right? So we're all facing an increased amount of pressure. So starting externally to be there for our customers in those moments that matter, especially in disrupted physical channels that they were previously comfortable in. Additionally, we need to also maintain business continuity and operate in a distributed fashion while being flooded with tens of thousands of inbound demands and inquiries from customers. And because of all the situation of things happening in the market, a lot of these customers are calling the banks, overwhelming call centers, having these critical communications, and it's really putting a lot of pressure on the employee side of the business to maintain that operational continuity. So in both cases, there's a disconnection professionally and socially that can be enabled by communication, technology, and more importantly, empathy. So we have heard stories about, in cases banks or financial services organizations shipping laptops out to their employees. Also, people logging into VPNs, or even having to use shared Zoom accounts to be able to have those conversations with their customers or really continue that engagement. So let's talk a little bit more about how did consumer behavior and interaction change before and after COVID-19. And before the world was hit with this global pandemic, the majority of business was done in person, from closing deals to dining out. The digital experience, while important to the customer journey, was often a companion to the in-person experience, not the main event. So, when you think about people like my parents who are in their 70s, they generally are not very adept to this virtual world, especially with mobile banking. So for them, this was a huge disruption, because for them now, they have to find ways to deposit their checks or to have that type of engagement or conversation or communicate with the bank in a different way. Again, we spoke about aspirational targets, 70% digital use, 50% mobile adoption, but now there are other, about 30% of your other customers, how are they engaging? So my parents would fall under that 30% of that customers. How are they engaging? Where are they gonna go? So with regards to sales, we used to talk about a third coming from digital with lofty ambitions to get that to 50% by 2025. So how are you growing today if if not digital? So when we think about this, and as consumers shift to that mobile and web, which they had been doing for a while, you have to think about what to do with your traditional channels, right? So what do you do with your call centers? What do you do with your branches? What about brokers and agents and advisors? How do you reconcile all of these other channels that exist that still drive a large majority of the revenue? We cannot go to our customers and say digital is the future and it will replace everything that you do. It does not make sense to them, and it never will. So you have to think about other ways of still engaging and speaking to the customers that are not fully there digitally yet. And so we have to now figure out how all of these channels come together. And because of this, we saw that the pace of technology advancement in the financial services sector had been accelerating rapidly over the years. but now many companies had managed to keep up. But not many of these companies have managed to keep up. According to PwC's 22nd annual CEO survey, a third of the financial services executives, with regard to speed of technological change, is really a top threat to their organization. So a risk-averse mentality had prevented some companies from seeing the opportunity before the initial challenges. Technology can put financial services companies in a better position to compete with new entrants, but revamping legacy technology systems that are not readily interoperable requires, really a commitment from the entire enterprise. So there were also needs to introduce a more customer-centric vision that goes beyond just these immediate financial gains. And this will be, leading me into my next question, which I'm going to ask Pandyan actually, is that what are these current challenges organizations face today in their digital initiatives? And I'm going to pass it off to Pandyan to talk a little bit more about this.
Thank you, Manish. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk about the challenges organizations are facing in implementing and rolling out an effective digital transformation initiative, specifically about digital marketing activities. The biggest challenge seems to be lack of budget. In fact, the survey that we have referred to, about 58% of them indicated that lack of budget is a big challenge. While marketing spend is likely to go up in the next 12 months, budgets still can be hard to win, with marketers citing securing long-term investment as their main internal challenge. And according to another survey by 2020 Vision, 95% of these organizations have increased their digital marketing budget in recent years, and 9 in 10 marketers expect their budget to continue to grow by 2020. However, several organizations are still indicating the lack of budget as one of the biggest challenges they are facing. And one way to address this issue is to set clear goals with measurable results. One of the most critical initial steps in figuring out a digital marketing budget is solidifying a clear, concrete goal or goals. You don't want to take a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks approach, since that will waste both time and money. Instead, what you should be aiming to do is decide where you want to see your results. That may mean a single result, or it may mean a primary goal with secondary and tertiary objectives. And in every case, however, you must know what you are trying to achieve. Are you looking to boost brand awareness, create more brand loyalty, or are you merely interested in increasing revenue or customers? These are all very different goals with different approaches. So which ones you choose to pursue will have a big effect on your digital plan and how you should be budgeting. So the key to addressing the lack of budget challenge is to set goals with measurable results so that you can go back to your leaders and show them the value and return on investment. The second biggest challenge is the lack of talent and digital skill sets. Up to 47% indicated that this as a big challenge. And finding the digital marketing talent your business needs is one of the hardest tasks CMOs face today. As all industry experts know, marketing is constantly evolving. However, the rate at which marketing is evolving has risen dramatically thanks to technological developments. So it's a double-edged sword. We have better tools today, but that requires a lot of training and understanding as well. Qualified marketing professionals are harder to find as marketing evolves because their areas of expertise are becoming increasingly blended with other departments like IT. So the applicants with all of the skills and experience you need are few and far between. And the key to address this challenge is to focus on attracting talent and retaining talent. So your hiring managers need to get creative on attracting the talent. And once you have the talent, you need to have more creativity in retaining the talent as well. The third biggest challenge that has been indicated is that newer technology doesn't integrate into existing enterprise systems. So most of the organizations that we went and implemented digital experience platforms had systems that are 10 years old, 20 years old, even 30 years old. We have even worked with customers who are using mainframe and mid-frame systems. And the reason integration is important is your customer data does not sit on your marketing applications, but your marketers need access to your customer data. So your CRM system, your ERP system, and the digital marketing platforms that you are building has to talk to each other. So the key to addressing this challenge is to make integration a priority in your DXP implementation. And the early on you think about it, the better success you are going to get. So building your digital experience platform is not just building systems that the marketing team can use, but integrating those systems with your internal applications as well. And that is a key challenge, and you need to address it early on. The few other challenges that we see are organizational misalignment. Generally, if there is no clear vision, each of your department has a different set of focus. You have to face this challenge, and the approach you should take to address this challenge is to first market inside your organization and mobilize the influencers and bring them all in the same thought process to look at digital experience as a valuable asset to the organization. Also, 34% of surveyors have indicated lack of senior executive support. This goes along with organizational misalignment. So you need to show the value digital marketing can bring to your organization. And one way of doing that is to bringing your senior executives to attend events such as this or other trade show events and show them the value digital marketing can bring to your organization. So those are some of the major challenges. Some other challenges that we have seen are lack of enterprise-wide digital platform with agile and scalable capabilities. Another challenge that we have seen is no clear owner or champion of digital initiative. These are some of the challenges that we have seen with the customers that we have worked and based on several surveys as well. One thing that I would request you to do is if you see some challenges in your organization, please indicate the top 3 hindrances of achieving progress towards enterprise-wide digital omnichannel. We want to know about them, so you can put them in the chat or in the question section. So with that said, I will turn it over to Manish.
Yeah, Pandyan, quick question actually for you. It's like, how can OnwardPath and Adobe support your digital marketing initiatives?
Sure. Adobe, if you all, I'm sure all of you have heard the name Adobe. It's a very old company. We're one of the largest organizations in the world, but we all know them as a creative company. I grew up using Photoshop and Illustrator, but Adobe in the past decade has entered the enterprise segment and has become a major player in the enterprise segment as well. And they have a suite of products that helps in several areas, but specifically in the digital experience platform, Adobe is a leader. Both Gartner and Forrester Wave have placed Adobe as the leader in digital experience platform and content management systems. So there are a suite of products that Adobe offers to assist in the digital experience platform space. And OnwardPath is a bronze partner with Adobe, and we specialize in the digital experience platform. And OnwardPath team consists of business analysts who participate in the discovery and translate your specific requirements into technical specifications. And we have architects, developers, and QA team members who assist in implementing the technical solutions, primarily build a technology platform on top of which you can enable a lot of digital experience capabilities. And as part of the engagement, we also train the trainers, because one of the key areas that helps companies use these digital experience platforms effectively is to have their own employees trained in these technologies as well. So that is how we engage with our customers. Our business analysts, architects, developers, and QA team deliver a digital experience platform, and we also train the marketing team and other IT teams of our clients to effectively use the technology.
So, great, thank you, Pandyan, for that. Going forward into this presentation, into the conversation, we want to talk a little bit more about what are some immediate actions that other organizations are already taking. So, we want to actually help you guys understand and see what other companies have already done, leveraging the Adobe Experience Platform, Adobe Experience Cloud, and also using and leveraging the capabilities of OnwardPath as well. So let's talk about some of these immediate response examples that we can talk about. So going forward, from a from just a direct bank, it's more of a confidential customer. They felt that their current credit scores are not a reflection of future credit scores, with a rise in terms of job losses that are happening due to this pandemic. So many of the cards featured rewards like travel cards, or they're really less desirable in this time. So really, they had to shift their messaging to things like mortgages or to savings accounts, because due to the interest rates with mortgages, a lot of banks have been shifting their strategy around helping customers trying to get into their or prospects into homes or into new homes as well. From there, an example I can give you an example for me is that I'm a big traveler and I love traveling, but the bank that I work with, from a credit card perspective, they've actually offered me other promotions to offset some of the travel points that I'm going to miss out on going forward. So what they've done is they've given me credit on things like DoorDash or Uber Eats, and whenever I get food delivered to my house, I get credit back on that at like 5%, or give me more cashback promotions around that. So a lot of banks have had to adjust their product promotion, and that really starts with really understanding your customer and what their needs are. The next piece is Lloyd's Bank, and in Lloyd's Bank, what they did is that due to the pandemic and everybody being virtual, especially on their mobile device, also increases fraud activities, fraud schemes, and this also creates a lot of stress and pressure on a lot of employees who are working for these banks and working in fraud and prevention as well. So, Lloyd's Bank actually incorporated some proactive communication and outreach to inform their customers about, how to protect their data, how to protect their personal information from being leaked out to, in cases of vulnerability. And also in that situation, they've also educated people on, adding alerts and notifications to their account. So if someone does make a withdrawal or a deposit or any of that, at least they get that notification of what's going on. DBS is another one that's been using education content-free transactions. So they've been training customers to use digital tools by running webinars, customized teaching, as well as 50 fast free transactions a month to discourage the use of physical checks. As I mentioned, earlier in the conversation, my parents are at that age group where, digital doesn't work for them. they need to still have that physical nature of going into the bank. And in this case, banks need to educate these people on how to use tools, how to use devices. It might even be younger folks who are still getting, used to the whole aspect of doing all these virtual work and virtual transactions as well. And from that, a use case that we support is digital adoption and self-service, right? So we've helped retail banks go to that, help them become more, help them adapt and change their strategy so that they can help their customers become more digital centric and also have a more self-service model there. Another component to the immediate response examples is also providing special branch hours. So Nationwide Building Society Bank has really, taken 100 of their branches, and they've now started doing an hour earlier and providing elderly and vulnerable people during COVID-19 a safer environment for physical distancing, and these facilities are also deep cleaned during that time frame. So it's all about now shifting the brick and mortar strategy to where they can have some percentage in physical area, but making sure that they have sanitization. They have the spacing and the physical distancing and masks, and people are more in a safer environment, especially during these special hours. Community investment. So banks like Bank of America has been supporting local communities for medical responses, also in capital to community development financial institutions as well. And finally, not to drink our own Kool-Aid from the Adobe perspective, but talk a little bit more about converting live events to virtual events. So taking trade shows, taking things that are global virtual events and keynotes, things like product innovations, even for banks' perspective, maybe like information on new type of insurance availability, or new loan interest rates, or new information that they want to provide their customers. So it's all now broken up into virtual. And what Adobe did is they broke out over 100 breakout sessions across 6 content tracks in just over 3 weeks worth of time. So, banks have been adjusting these new ways of working by putting their employees in a virtual environment and being able to use things like Zoom, Skype, and have these conversations with their customers. So let's talk a little bit more about what are the opportunities now for increasing business as we prepare for 2021. And our message forward realistically is business resilience, right? The ability to pivot an enterprise to address a completely new set of customer demands while simultaneously planning for the future. And these same capabilities, right? Like significant command of data, the ability to deliver highly personalized products, and also a digitally enabled service, sales and marketing functions, all powered by an infrastructure that is necessary to not only formulate short-term but also long-term success. And that all really starts with the foundation of having that deeper understanding of the customer. If you have the deeper understanding of the customer, that single view of the customer, you can start really adapting new ways of working and start doing things like remote call centers, virtual meetings. You can start doing things like digital adoption, self-service, and education, and then also doing proactive communication and outreach across multiple channels, right? Email, mobile, SMS, even in-app and push notifications. That'll help you get through that process. Also, deeper understanding of your customers goes into more of empathy as well, really understanding, their scenario and their situation, and that's where you shift brick and mortar strategies for, as I mentioned earlier, having the special hours for specific people that are highly vulnerable to coronavirus. So those are things that we need to also put into consideration there from that.